They're just some games that just mean a little bit more. Tonight was one of those. 71-66. There'll be a lot of students that'll look back at their college career and say, hey, you remember that one? 71-66. Aggies get the win and knock off San Diego State in Logan in a game in which, frankly, San Diego State, for good portions, looked like far and away the better team.
Utah State, it's that under 8 timeout. Utah State shooting 35% from the field, 13% from three-point line, and man, found a way to get it done. When you looked at it, you were like, we shouldn't be in this game, but they found a way.
Yeah.
And I mean, Karson Templin, Elamine, Perryman giving a boost, and then down the stretch, Drake Allen making 2 really big plays. Left-handed scoop layup over Heidi, and then going to the free throw line, knocking one down. But man, great job. And I call that an 8-minute game. The rest of the game did not matter.
Yeah.
And then and you called it earlier. MJ Collins showing up when he needs to with 2 big three-pointers.
You know, nearly botched that layup. He kind of mishandled the ball on the way up.
Yeah.
But got the layup to go. And then after that, it just felt like, all right, everything's going to be okay. It's like a reset button. Like back in the day when you weren't playing well on the old Nintendo and you accidentally hit that little reset button.
Accidentally,
or restart.
Scotty?
Yeah.
It was an accident, right?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Sorry, we got to restart that Tecmo Bowl game.
Yep. And it's like, oh, start from scratch. Let's go.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to ask Coach at that 7:56 when Drake got fouled, went to the free throw, was going to go to the free throw line. They were down by 1, ends up tying the game. What his message was, but honestly, you think of the impact of B.J. Davis not being in at the end of the game, and on the offensive and defensive end, that was a huge deal for him to get in foul trouble. And at first, I thought Littlewood made a mistake, but I didn't on the replay. B.J. Davis didn't even realize it, but when he was backing up, he took out one of Drake's legs, and it was a foul.
Yep, plain and simple. So Utah State gets it done tonight, and as we mentioned, back on top in the Mountain West Conference standings, now sitting at 18-3 and 9-2 in Mountain West play. The Aztecs now fall to 9-2 in Mountain West, and as for now, Utah State will have a tiebreaker, but holy smokes, this is one of those games, and I give Perriman a lot of credit. I thought Elamine was just fantastic in this game.
Was.
And he may not be a big stat filler.
Well, 13-8-3, right?
Oh, never mind. That's a stat filler.
That's a great stat line, but still a couple of just really good plays when they needed great plays. His feel is so good for his size, his length, and athleticism, but man, Coach coming over to us, a couple good questions we have for him. So,
yeah.
Wow.
Fired up. Incredible game tonight. Utah State gets it done. They knock off San Diego State. And, Coach, there are moments in this arena that people remember for a long time. This game, I think, is going to be one of them. Oh, my bad. That's my fault, Coach. There we go.
Yeah, just a hard-fought game. I got so much respect for San Diego State. To beat them 3 straight, to be 3-0, Templin and Mason, you have to be tough against these guys. Our offense was not there, but KT willed us. And when you out-rebound these guys by 15, you're a tough team and you got great character. So much respect for Dutch and their program, but we were the tougher team in the last 8 minutes.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was 2 games, right? Yeah. I want to know what you were telling your team. Drake gets fouled. You're down by 1. He's going to go to the free throw line, and it's like, we've shot 35% from the field, 13% from three-point range, and we got a chance to tie this game. What was the message in that under 8 timeout?
Yeah, just be the tougher team, quit turning it over. And we drew up some things out of timeouts that were not in the playbook. The ball screen pinned down for MJ Collins. They thought KT was going to roll. He set an unbelievable screen, by the way. KT, I've been on him about screening. And that was, I thought, one of the biggest plays of the game, that screen, things that go unnoticed. But, yeah, just be the tougher team, Spence, and don't turn the ball over. This was a game we had to win if we want to play in the NCAA tournament and want to win a league title. You have to beat these guys at home. So it doesn't get any easier at the pit.
Well, I will say, though, there's the old adage of the 6th man. You had it today with this crowd.
I want to shout out. I got a chance last night. My daughter, Kendall, we came up here. We spent about 45 minutes. There was 2 kids that have been here since Wyoming. There was 30 tents. There was about 40 other students that were out there freezing. So I called Cam Walker last night, and I said, hey, let these kids in at 9:15 instead of 9:50. right? Easy adjustment. It's freezing. We've got 2 kids. They've been out there for 3 days. And the herd declined. They kindly declined and said, that's not who we are. We're tougher. So not only do we have the best student section, we got the toughest student section. I got a huge kick out of that before the game.
That's awesome. One thing, San Diego State credit, where you guys really struggled, fast break. I mean, at 9, I don't know how many layups we kept on the board, but you looked at it, 19-3 is what it was going into that 8-minute timeout. It ended 19-5. You end up getting the MJ Collins. But just talk about that, the struggle to finish in transition, because the opportunities were there.
Yeah, everything you talk about, we didn't do offensively. When you get to the rim, they're going to meet you. Shot fake. So when Drake finally shot fake with like 8 minutes, Manny and I chest bumped because that's all we did the whole week. And I chest bumped Drake coming into the timeout. Like, finally, somebody did what we had watched on film for 7 games. We watched 7 of their games. So it's like you're running on fumes. Like, guys, just do what we told you. But one thing they did was keep playing, keep fighting, and they fed off this crowd, and it was a huge win for us.
Well, honestly, and Spence and I were talking about that at about that 8-minute timeout. If you would have told me that MJ Collins was 0 of 10, Mason had 6 points, you turned it over 15, 16 times, we'd say you're down by 15.
Yeah, I mean,
and
MJ
yet,
goes 3 of 14, Mace goes 3 of 7, so you're
down 1, and you're like
6 for 21, your best 2 players.
At that point, you were 2 of like 17, and then MJ hits those. But man, talk about just being like, none of that matters, right? Not 0 for 10. It does not matter. MJ, there's no one else. It's got to be you.
Yeah, I brought him over. I don't know if you said. I said, you 2 guys got to wake up. KT's carrying us. You're the 2 best players on this court. Step up, take the game over. Mace passed up a 3. They're just out of rhythm, and that's credit to Dutch and their group. I mean, they're long, they're athletic. It's hard to simulate what they do, but nonetheless, we get out of here with the win, and we need to take off tomorrow, and then, we got to get ready.
Yeah. Man. You could tell B.J. Davis was creating a lot of problems defensively. He goes out of the game and then comes back in with 4, and I thought Drake doing a great job.
Yeah. Drake stepped up. I mean, Drake struggled along with Mason, MJ throughout the game, but, he did have that one big turnover, but he didn't let him affect him, and he drove right after the very next play. So when you got senior players, you got to play those guys the last 5 minutes of the game. You want to lose with your seniors and win with your seniors. EP, I thought, did a nice job. Obviously, Adlin played well. I thought Zach gave us good minutes at times. I thought he was pretty good. Gary just continues to foul. The poor kid, I just love him to death. But he just can't.
Sure, he's having a hard time staying
on the floor.
The floor. But it was committee, right? Because MJ's struggling, Mason is struggling. Elamine is so good.
Yeah,
man.
He's good.
He is so good. But Carson, and like you said, Perryman stepped up. It was more by committee tonight.
Yeah.
And
but the defense won the game. I mean,
for sure.
Held them to 66 guys, and they're actually. I think this is one of Dutch's best offensive teams he's had because they run so much and they're scoring the ball. The last 5 games they're averaging 80 points a game. So to hold them to 66 when you couldn't make a shot or make a decision, that's why you won.
How much were you guys yelling when Elamine has that ball in the corner? He wants it. Spencer and I were both yelling at him.
Adlin's really smart. Addy knows the game. He knows time and score. He's, you're not a freshman anymore. You only have whatever we got left, 10 games. You're really like a sophomore now, so I wasn't worried about it. I was really just saying getting the ball to MJ.
I heard that. Get the ball to MJ so no one else is shooting the free throws.
Get it to him.
And then giving it back to Drake, and that's not an easy layup over Heidi.
Yeah,
that's a hard scoop left layup.
That was a huge play.
Huge play.
Yeah, he played well down the stretch.
Hey, nice little bro hug with you and Tommy there.
That was. Hey, now we can ask. That was the only Coach, I wanted you to win maybe for other reasons, but the biggest reason. And I know you got to be careful, but hey, that was a great bro hug.
Yeah, Tommy Nunez. I talked to him this summer. Obviously, he made a mistake in our game, and I told the league, put him on one of our games. Get him back in the spectrum. The poor guy made a mistake. We all do things in life that we regret. It doesn't matter what stages of life. None of us are perfect. And I had been asking, why has he not done a game? Right? Mm-hmm. Like, it made no sense to me. And he's one of the better officials. So I was glad he got to come back to the Spectrum, and I thought all three were good. There's always going to be questionable plays.
For sure.
The home crowd's never going to agree with any calls, but very, very hard game to officiate. But I thought it was a really good officiated game.
They did good.
You took a lot of haymakers tonight and responded with a win, and there's
tired.
a lot to
I'm going
take.
to Lannone at 5:30.
I'm going to get a
bowl
Coach.
pasta with
Good
my
for you.
father-in-law and wife and kids, and I'm going to relax because
That chicken Alfredo is going to taste pretty good.
I'm trained. I feel like I was running out there.
There he is, the head coach of the Aggies, as Utah State gets the win tonight.
You were there, you watched the game, or you heard it all here on KVNU. So now it's your chance to give your thoughts and ask your questions about the action as KVNU Aggie Game Day continues with Aggie Call. The phone line is 435-753-KVNU. The text line is 435-554-1175. It's KVNU Aggie Call with J.D. Walker and Stockton Jukes.
How we doing, Aggies? 130, 50 degrees and sunshine and a beautiful blue A on top of Old Main. The Aggies take care of business. 71-66. Stockton Jukes, J.D. Walker, Jalen Moore joining us in just a couple of minutes. And you can sound off, too. What did you see? 435-554-1175. The text line open. Who's your MVP? What was the turning point for you? Stockton, now here is the big test. I might be doing this show solo. I also joked on X that we might debut some radio sign language. First half, my friend, you were sitting back in your old stomping grounds in the student section, and give me kind of your perspective being up there on the hill.
Oh, my gosh, dude. I need to give a shout-out to Ben Burdett and to Colton and all the guys that are involved with the Utah State Herd, because what a freaking job they just did today. This was the game of the year so far for the Herd. No question. I'm about to put this out on social media. But they played a huge part in giving Utah State the home court advantage they needed to overcome that 9-point deficit at the end of the first half, overcome the turnovers they threw away for the first 4 minutes of the second half. And they got in the heads of the San Diego State players. Even Reese Dixon Waters, who's typically very level-headed. I really respect him as a basketball player. But even he was chirping at some of the students. I have it on good authority from a first-hand source that one of the San Diego State players, and I'm not going to name him, but one of the San Diego State players went over to the student section and threatened to slap the expletive out of one of our students because he was so bothered by what they were doing today. Unbelievable environment. They did such a great job. They camped out for 3 days for this game in sub-freezing temperatures. And, of course, now it's like 50 degrees outside and sunny as soon as the campout's over. But, man, oh, man, I miss being in the Herd so much. I loved that experience today. I had such a good time.
And to follow up, the CBS sports team, they knew it, too. Listen to this.
They're playing the drop with Heidi. I like Karson Templin picking and popping. The three goes for LME.
I tell you, that was the story throughout, watching the coverage, the CBS coverage. It was really cool to see national coverage on what was going on. Karson Templin getting coverage at halftime and being the heart. And, man, I tell you, there was a point, Stockton, 426. It was the kind of defining swing that we saw from this Utah State team. Looking at the stats, going back, because it was ugly at that point in the game. And we had a little bit of time to go to make things through, but 4 minutes and 26 seconds at the end, we were waiting for it. They had to come back because they were shooting like abysmal stats when they were coming out there. It wasn't even close. It was just in the gutter, and like something had to happen. But at that 426 moment, magic took over.
It's just an unbelievable defensive performance down the stretch that got this game done for Utah State. Let's go over some of the numbers because let's just get all the ugly stuff out of the way early on so we can party for the rest of the day. 0 for 11 from behind the three-point line before Karson hit that first one for Utah State, like more than halfway through the first half. Really rough start shooting. 13 for 23 from the free throw line is not usually going to get it done in these kind of games. Utah State got lucky that did not come back to bite them.
At that mark, it took me a second to find the tweet. The only three-pointer we had, the three-point Steph Curry of the night to break the seal on the rim was from Karson, and we were 1 for 10 at 426, Mark. 8 for 29 from the field, 1 for 3 from the charity stripe. And I said for dessert, throw in 8 turnovers on 2 assists. They had 24 minutes and 26 seconds to fix the impending disaster. From that spot on, they ran towards the end of the half. That floater with a hat tip to the assist off the iron to Adlin at the end to halftime, describe that feeling in the building up there at the Spectrum.
Oh, my goodness. I got to shout out my guy Hayden Gardner. He's with the Utah State Baseball Club. He saved me a seat in there because there were some issues with seating and availability. Obviously, this is a highbrow game. A lot of people wanted to be there to cover this game. So I got to sit with my boy Hayden. We talked shop the whole game. And it was really it was getting a little scary at the under 4 timeout, because that lead had stretched out to 9 for San Diego State. There was no sign that the lid was coming off the basket at any point. But then you have just a couple things happen. Utah State gets a couple stops. San Diego State starts to miss some of those really tough mid-ranges that they were just draining for the first little part of the game. I mean, B.J. Davis, and not really B.J. Davis. He had a couple shots, but he had a tough game. Reese Dixon Waters hit some nasty shots today.
And it was funny because they thought the CBS crew did a good job. Not going to nitpick, but watching it, you see it right there happening when he got hurt. They thought Kobe King hit him, and they're like, that's a foul. It's a foul. Well, what actually, he did the little bunny hop back. His guys were too close to the line. I think it was one of the coaches who, I don't know if you noticed it, you got a couple of assistant coaches coming way out on the court.
Oh, yeah, they were.
And then he rolled his ankle that way. It's something. And then it's total squirrel moment right now. But can you give me any insight into how some of our student Aggie photographers and video camera people got into the dark side of the referees? I saw that on
That
X.
was ridiculous, man. There was a couple minutes in that first half that helped San Diego State stretch that lead out, where we had some classic, Nunez and Mike Littlewood stuff. And granted, I'll give Mike some credit here, because for that first half, he wasn't really involved in some of those bad calls. It was more the second half that he got his hands in there. But Andy O'Brien power tripped on the photographer section, 8 minutes into the game. And if you're not familiar, the team photographers, for the Statesman, for the team, for social media, for all that stuff, they will sit under the hoop, kind of off to one side, on the side of the floor that Utah State is shooting on. So the photographers were right next to San Diego State's bench for the first half, and they were right in front of the herd. I didn't see what happened that led up to this, but Andy goes over there and starts yelling at the photographers and trying to push them back while their backs are already against the padding at the front of the section. Not to mention, there are white boxes taped off on the floor where the photographers are allowed to sit, and they were well within that area. So I have no clue what that was about. I think Andy was getting in his head about some of the herd stuff early on.
Well, it was definitely, you could tell it was firing up and getting things moving there. Some of the other things going on, looking at CBS Sports, it was awesome to hear it. Final call once again from the network.
And the Aggies are going to win another one at home and make it another win over San Diego State in an unbelievable comeback from early in the first half.
Just an unbelievable environment. Props to the students, the fans that made it up there to the Spectrum, a sellout, and really made their impact felt. And, man, just a magical Saturday morning in Cache Valley.
Yeah, and I didn't see what it was like at the end of the game. I had to leave at the under 8 timeout. Obviously, I had to get back here. But, the end of that first half, like you were asking me just a second ago, when we went on that run for the last 2 minutes, and when that I can't remember exactly what the play was. It was the awkward Elamine alley-oop that went off the rim and came back out to Adlin, and he stuffed that down to tie the game right before halftime. That's the loudest I've heard the Spectrum in a couple years.
Yeah, I asked Jason Walker, and I texted him. I said, hey, what do you think? And he's like, it's definitely up there. You could hear it on the broadcast coming through. 435-554-1175. We'll get your text loaded up here in just a second. We'll also have Jalen Moore joining us in just about 5 minutes after we take our first break here in just a couple minutes.
I have the stat of the game today, provided by the USU Herd. Guess how many days it's been since San Diego State has beaten Utah State in basketball?
How many?
687, JD.
Yeah, I will celebrate right now. I will tell you that this was a heavyweight match between these two teams.
This was the best of the Mountain West.
Yeah, this might be one of the best games of the year. Of course, they had the triple overtime in Boise a little bit ago, but this one, the two heavyweights going out, and man, round 2 on this rematch coming up soon, but this one down in San Diego.
Yeah, and San Diego State's, they're going to give us our best, or their best when we go down there. It's going to be the toughest game of the season. Like I said, this is the hardest game we've played this season. The hardest game of the season is going to be at San Diego State in 4 weeks, Wednesday, February 25th, 9 p.m. tip-off on Fox Sports. That's going to be a tough one. And
is that a 9 p.m. us or a 9 p.m.
9 p.m.
then?
local time.
Okay.
Yeah, so 8 p.m. in San Diego.
Can you imagine if that's 9 o'clock San Diego time? We'd be like popping.
Oh, goodness.
It'd be
Hawaii all over again. It just incredible stuff for Utah State. Back in first place in the Mountain West, right back in the mix of things after 2 bad losses at Grand Canyon against UNLV. And this team is playing with conviction now this week. That's something that they lacked in that 3-game stretch from Grand Canyon, UNLV, Colorado State. They just didn't have a lot of conviction. They didn't have a lot of belief in their game. They played with some passion today.
I feel that because I feel like this situation a couple weeks ago, maybe this team wouldn't have rallied how it is. Look, unreal to look at the stat line and see your big guys, not leading the way, not having their dominant games. But really when it counted, MJ's hitting them, Drake's hitting them, Mason's there making the plays, the steals. But, man, if we've got to give the player of the game, it's got to be KT.
Start singing the song right now. You may as well. 18 points for the big guy on 70% shooting from the field. That includes 2 for 3 from three-point land. Did miss 2 free throws. Not going to be as lenient about the free throw shooting today in a game like this, but 7 rebounds. 4 fouls, turned the ball over twice, but got 2 steals to cancel that out. Had a plus 11 on the floor tonight, which is second best behind a plus 13 for Adlin Elamine. And my goodness, play the song.
Karson, first 18 minutes of this game, you guys don't have much going, but it certainly changed at the end of the first half. How'd you guys get this done?
We just didn't have enough assists in the first 16 minutes. We moved the ball. They're collapsing all of our drives, so we just started kicking it. That was the recipe.
A career high for you. What were they giving you out there that you were able to take advantage of?
They were switching me with their point guard, so I like that matchup inside a little more. Helps me on the boards. I was able to hit a few shots, which helps, but that's pretty much it.
It doesn't get any easier. New Mexico next on the schedule, another team at the top of the Mountain West. How do you guys build on this win?
We just have to embrace it, man. No game's going to be easy in this league. Every team is good. I'm excited. It'll be a fun game.
This is an incredible atmosphere. What's it like to play in the Spectrum?
It's amazing. We have the best fans in the country. You can hear them chant my name right now. I love every one of them. It's awesome.
Karson, congrats on the win.
Thank you very much. Go Aggies.
We've got the game, we've got the players, we've got the results. Stockton, I've got to tell you, from Camp Calhoun being recognized, Calhoun going out there and hooking up the students with food. We had Gary pancakes this morning. We had burritos. Cam opening up the Spectrum early to get the students in out of the cold. I tell you, there's so much more than just a basketball team and a basketball game. There's a huge community, and you hear that. Man, it's just like, it just, as a fan, as somebody who supports the program and honestly want to see these student athletes succeed, not only here at Utah State, but in the future, man, this is some magic that we have going in Cache Valley.
We got a ton of texts coming in today on the KVNU text line, 435-554-1175 if you want to get involved. We're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, there's already about 10, 11 texts stacked up. Get your thoughts in. I do think we're going to try the phone line again one more time today.
We'll see. We'll see. I just want to let you know that I plotted, I planned, and I understand, and I have people. I have things. I know people. I'll call Liam Neeson, maybe Walter White. We'll get some things done. But just for the phones, very respectable. Please understand that Stacey Walker is listening.
And this is beyond that, we want to be respectful of everyone. This is also a public and legally monitored radio station. So there's consequences for stuff like that for the business as a whole. So let's just be respectful today and let's enjoy a good win. It's party time, so let's act like it, but let's not get out of hand.
So 435-554-1175, 435-753-5868, the phone line up. But coming up next, Jalen Moore going to join us on the phone to tell us what he saw and answer your text messages. That's coming up next here on KVNU Aggie Call. Hey, it's JD here, and with the new year comes that familiar feeling of wanting a fresh start. We all make resolutions: eat better, be healthier, do better, but for some, the resolution that matters most is getting sober. That's why I want to tell you about Renaissance Ranch. They specialize in a faith-based, clinically proven addiction recovery. They know what it takes to break free for good. Call or visit renaissanceranch.net and make this the year that addiction no longer controls your story. Renaissance Ranch, hope, healing, and recovery.
Old McDarrell has a farm and appliance farm
with down-home country prices and big city selection.
E-I-E-I-O. When you're looking for a friendly spot to drive a little and save a lot, hey, Old McDarrell has a farm, an appliance farm. Low overhead, but lots of country charm. See Darrell's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson.
Who do you turn to if you want to change out your wood or pellet stove? Advanced Fireplace and Stove. They were voted the gold medalist for Best of Northern Utah for the 5th year in a row in the fireplace retrofit category. Be ready when the government's next wood and pellet replacement incentives pop up. Advanced Fireplace can help you navigate the paperwork. For more information, call Advanced Fireplace and Stove, 752-7272. Online at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
Old McDarrell has a farm and appliance farm
with down-home country prices and big city selection.
E-I-E-I-O. When you're looking for a friendly spot to drive a little and save a lot, hey, Old McDarrell has a farm, an appliance farm. Low overhead, but lots of country charm. See Darrell's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson.
Winter's rolling in, cold, snow, wind, but Mother Nature can't cancel us. At Top Shed, we build custom sheds year-round, right on site in northern Utah, southern Idaho, and Wyoming. Blizzards, freezing temperatures, doesn't matter. We don't shut down. We show up, we build. So if you need storage, workplace, or a backyard upgrade, don't wait for spring. Top Shed builds in any weather. Top Shed, making sheds great again. Call 435-760-7766 or visit TopShedUSA.com.
Talking about the Aggies. It's KVNU Aggie Game Day. Call 435-753-KVNU or text 435-554-1175.
144 and a blue A on top of Old Main. Joining us on the KVNU phone lines where you can get in, 435-753-5868. James joining us on the phone. What'd you see in the Aggies win?
Hi, how are you today?
Hey, we're doing pretty good.
I know you can't help but feeling good today. It was a great win. I wanted to agree with what Stockton had said earlier. I saw a lot of conviction from the players. These last two games, they just seemed like a different team, just more aggressive, and really went out there and fought today. The other thing is Drake. I thought he played a lot tonight, and a couple turnovers, but I loved how he was more aggressive going to the basket today too. So great win for Aggie Nation.
Hey, man, yeah, I think the conviction is one of the things that I noticed was lacking the most, especially against UNLV down the stretch. It was a close game with like 12 minutes left in that second half, right? And then you make a substitution defensively, that team takes their hands off the ball, basically. And so I really, really appreciated that we got 40 minutes of intensity effort from Utah State today because they needed it. They knew they just had to hang around in that game and something was going to fall eventually. And they did just that. I mean, they were even down by 10 at one point and still managed to hang around. Again, passionate is the best word that I can think of right now. That is a passionate win for Utah State.
Hey, James, who's your player of the game from what you saw?
Well, I mean, obviously Karson just looked absolutely great, but overall, just a team win. Again, they just all worked together to make this happen, right? They worked together. They helped each other out. They were aggressive. I loved it. I loved how they're playing these last two games. And if they can keep this up, we're going to do really well.
Yeah, James, I agree with you. We've got a tough road test coming up, too, at New Mexico on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. local, Fox Sports 1. That's going to be a tough one. But, man, oh, man, what a great stepping stone today for Utah State to get ready for that environment.
Hey, James, thank you so much for the call here on KVNU Aggie Call. Up next, I'm going to go ahead and get Jalen on the line. Stock to run down some stats from us for the starters and the bench from today's performance from the Aggies.
Yeah, so we know that Karson had those 18 points, led the team on the floor. Adlin Elamine, though, right behind him with 13. 5 for 12 shooting, 2 massive three-pointers in the last 10 minutes of that game. 1 for 2 from the free throw line. Didn't have a lot of shots there, but 8 rebounds for him as well. He pulled down some big defensive boards and a couple offensive boards as well. 3 assists, only 2 fouls, didn't turn the ball over and took it away twice. His plus 13 led this team in the efficiency rating today. MJ and Drake Allen, both with a plus 10. MJ had 12 points after a really, really tough start to the game. Ended 3 for 14 on shooting, but had 4 for 5 from the free throw line and 2 big threes again down the stretch, where Utah State, that's seeming to be a bit of a recipe for them, is if they can just hang in there when it's not a good shooting night, a couple of them are going to fall towards the end of the game. So you just got to stay close, right? And we saw that from MJ. We saw that from Adlin. Drake with a good 9 points. Missed all 3 of his threes, but 3 for 8 from the field, 3 for 5 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 fouls, but he turned the ball over 7 times. And that was a real concern at the beginning of that second half. He threw the ball away 3 times in the first 3 minutes of that half, and that really raised some eyebrows. He did steal the ball from San Diego State 4 times, though. So it washes out to about a 3 turnover advantage towards San Diego State, just off Drake alone. But he still had the plus 10 in the efficiency rating, which means that while he was on the court, the Aggies scored 10 more points than San Diego State in that entire time that he was on the floor. So you give and take some. It was a sloppy start to the half for Drake for sure, but he hit some big buckets and one right at the under 8 timeout. That's about when I left the building. But when he made that layup and he was about to go to the line, he looked like he was about to explode. He was so fired up.
There was a point, right, in the under 2 where he got to the point, there was something, and when the Aggies get the ball on offense, man, it sometimes it's all gas, no brakes, like when they, especially in a transition situation, and Drake had the mindset to slow it down. And that is like some of that veteran leadership I think we saw out there. One thing I want to talk about, MJ Collins, that you just mentioned, man, props to him, because after a first half like he had, 0 from 7 from the field goals, 0 from 5 from 3-point, just not a great first half. Then coming out 3 of 7 from the field, and then 2 of 4 with 2 big 3-pointers, just believing in themselves and accomplishing it. Sometimes you look and you want to see the stats and the averages and stuff, but at the end of the day, Stockton, the Aggies, it's a 5-point win, and right now there is a new team on top of the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah, that's exactly what you needed. Like I said, San Diego State was the last one-loss team in the conference. That is not the case anymore. I think there are now 3 teams at the top of the Mountain West with 2 losses. That's San Diego State, Utah State, and New Mexico. And guess where we get to play on Wednesday night? The Pit. So it's one after the other. This is the toughest stretch of schedule for Utah State to end the season, and that's what we always knew was going to happen. But they are really, like James was saying, and like we've been saying to start the show off, they are playing with conviction now that they lacked for a little bit.
Jalen Moore, former Utah State Aggie, joining us on the phone right now to take your text message questions at 435-554-1175. Maybe something you saw on the court. Want to get his insight. We'll get to the text line real quick, but want to get Jalen's thoughts first. I got to ask you, my friend, how's your heart health?
Yeah, I mean, it's good now, but during the game it was up and down. You know what I mean? I'm excited. That was a fun game, though. We kind of talked about it being a defensive battle before the game, but it was entertaining. Guys made big plays. There were athletic plays, big shots made by both teams down the stretch. And I think that's just what it takes to showcase as being a top-tier team in this conference. I think both teams honestly did that, and I think down the stretch we just ended up making more plays defensively and offensively than they did. And like you guys said, credit to MJ Collins. Had a rough first half. Believes in himself, team believes in him, coach believes in him, ran a few plays for him, hit some big shots down the stretch, and obviously can't say enough about Karson Templin this game off the bench. I thought his energy and what he did offensively, also going 2 for 3 from the 3-point line, I thought that was huge for us.
We're talking to Jalen Moore here on KVNU Aggie Game Day. And, I mean, it was just amazing to watch Carson's effort out there. One of the fouls that he took, were you in there when he got his hand? Were you still at the Spectrum, Stockton, when he got his hand tangled up in the net and he came down and he slammed really hard on a foul?
So he didn't really get tangled up in the net. He tried to grab the rim. He was trying to finish the dunk, and he grabbed it, and that momentum swung his body, and he just slammed back.
So what I don't think anybody in the Spectrum really saw, I don't know if they had the camera close up on his face. Well, it was a little worried because it was a thud.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if you guys could hear it in the Spectrum because it was so loud, but Jalen on the broadcast, I could hear it. And, I was like, all right, is everything going to be okay? And then in true Karson Templin fashion, he looks up with this big, like, mischievous grin on his face, and it's like, all right, let's go. That kind of energy, Jalen, as a teammate, to have somebody like that, does that help you push through the, the hard times, the storms that you have to go through the game, to have somebody that just seems to maybe have that 10% more that makes them play a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, maybe a little bit taller than their, listed stats?
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was awesome. You always love having guys like that on your team that bring energy, and I think Karson does that on a game-to-game basis. And, you look at today, and he was able to produce offensively and get 7 rebounds. You get the energy from him. You get the offensive consistency. You get the leadership. If you get that all in a game, like we're going to be a tough team to beat. And like we said, I just think that was huge for us, especially with Mason and MJ kind of struggling. I thought him and Elamine did a really good job of like picking up the slack offensively. So when you have a teammate like that brings that energy, brings that fire, he's going to be there game to game basis. But when he helps you offensively too, like Karson did today, and does in a few other games so far, we're a hard team to beat, honestly.
Let's go ahead and hit the text line now, 435-554-1175 if you want to drop your thoughts in. Starting it off with 65-43 today. Nice win for the Ags. San Diego State is definitely not the team they have been in past years. Choked big time down the stretch, and it's doubtful that they make the NCAA. Nice that the Ags get a game that tests them. I agree with most of this. I would say San Diego State has fallen off a cliff since they made that Final Four appearance and played in the national championship back in the... Was it March of 22 or 23? I can't remember how many seasons it was ago now. I think it was 23. But they are just not that same team. Obviously, they lost a lot of those national championship pieces to bigger programs with bigger budgets after that season. And so that's been the result of that. But they also, we got to remember, they didn't have Magoon Guath today. They didn't have Elsie Harrington, who was in a boot on the floor walking around. They had to take Reese Dixon-Waters out of the game for a little bit because he came down awkwardly on top of Magoon Guath's foot when he took a 3 in the corner. BJ Davis fouled out, and he didn't play very good, only had 8 points. Miles Bird continued to struggle against Utah State and only scored 7 on some pretty bad shooting. It was a test for sure, but San Diego State underplayed their potential, and so did we. And so I think, if both teams can tune things up and find their shots a little more consistently in a month, then that game at San Diego State is going to be a lot higher scoring. But that being said, they definitely threw away a game that they should have won on the road. No doubt about that. You get up 10 in the Spectrum, that is a hard game to give away. And that's one that could really come down to hurt them down the stretch because like this texter is saying, they're on the bubble right now for the NCAA tournament. Even though they were at the top of the Mountain West before this game ended, they're not having the best season. If you look back a couple games on their schedule, well, more than a couple, but I think back to November 18th where they lost in double overtime to Troy at home. Troy out of, the sticks in Alabama. So that's a team that's struggled a little bit in these bigger games. They lost a heartbreaker at Grand Canyon a couple weeks ago. We can talk day and night and day again about that foul call to end that game, but today, that's a game that you got to finish out, and they just couldn't do it.
Coming up next on the text line, we're going to have to take a break here in a couple seconds to identify us. But coming up, still time for you, 435-554-1175. Also remembering that there is a return trip to San Diego State, and Magoon Guath's health will definitely. And it's
I expect that he and Elsie Harrington will play in that game.
And we talked about it. I said, both teams, if you look at them, you got the Aggies, they're running at 100% with no injuries. San Diego State's running at 80% with their stuff. And just at the end, it feel like the juice wasn't there for San Diego State to hold on. Moving up next as we move on through these texts, 0500. Appreciate you texting in. Templin always brings the energy. I watched him warm up in the second half. He was practicing free throws. Needs more practice. Sometimes us big guys have struggled with that at the charity stripe. We should have won that game by 10 to 14 points. You missed the front end of a 1-1. It cost you so many points. I love Elamine. He was consistent throughout. MJ hit his threes absolutely in clutch situations. Everyone else played their role. It's outstanding to have a coach on the floor waiting for Foslev. Decent coaching this morning. Go Aggies. Light the A blue. 0500. I agree with that. I'm pretty sure Karson would love to work on his free throws too as the emphasis, but yeah, there's definitely some points left there, but the fact that the Aggies weathered through it, I think, is the big takeaway. Up next, 8632. How about this, 8632? How about I modify it a little bit? You guys can use your imagination, but I'm going to say stay classy, San Diego.
Ron Burgundy said it best. That's the only tweet that I put out after that game. If you know ball, then you know the quote.
Is KT the most important player on this team? He sure doesn't score and pass the most, but when he plays well and hard, we win. I think 8632, and Jalen, I'm going to ask you a little bit on this thing. I think there are leaders on this team, and you could even say stars that you look to and stuff, but really this team is a result of the total sum of their parts. Without Karson Templin in this, I'm not sure you've got the juice that you need from that teammate to kind of bring everything up, that guy that's there. It's kind of the hype man for everyone. I think everyone on this team is very important and plays a role. What do you think about this text from 8632 asking, is KT the most important player on the team?
Yeah, I think definitely everybody has a specific role that they play, and his is just like that energy guy, play hard. And that's just what he does. And I do think it's important. I think some of the best teams that you will see, especially as the season's going on and we get closer to March and you see some of the better teams start to separate themselves, most of them are going to have a guy that is an energy guy that makes plays, is a leader, leads by example, and I think Karson is that guy for us. And I do think that is important, and he does have a big role for the team. And I do think a lot of the other guys just feed off of him as well. And like I said, when he has a good offensive performance like today too, it just adds more value to him. So I do agree. I can agree with that. But I also, like you guys said, I think there's so many important pieces. And I just think Elamine getting better as the season goes on, like the improvement he's made is huge. I think some guys are starting to figure out their roles, and the pieces are starting to click. And since the UNLV game, we have responded really well and gotten a 3-game win streak. So like I said, I'm satisfied that everything's kind of falling into place right now.
24-44, hard not to be optimistic about the remainder of conference play when we can beat another top team with one of our worst offensive showings. If we can take care of the ball better and get back to our typical three-point shooting, I like our chances at the pit next week. Yeah, it pretty much said it all there. And then 93-15, there are parts of this game where I could see an Elite 8 tournament qualifying team, and then there were a few times we did some boneheaded stuff. But most of the time, we were pretty good. I did see at the very end of the game that we kind of broke San Diego State's will because they all stopped and stood around, figuring they lost with plenty of time on the clock, to come back and win it. I think there was like 13 seconds left. Yeah, that last offensive rebound that Utah State pulled out, I expected San Diego State to start fouling and foul down the stretch, and they just let that clock run. I think, they lost B.J. Davis, and they lost their will to win in that game. And granted, I didn't see the foul that B.J. Davis got thrown out on because I was listening on the radio, but Scotty seemed to disagree with the call, and it's rare that those guys don't agree with a guy fouling out. So
it was chippy, and Jalen, maybe you can chime in on this too. It was very chippy. The technical on Gary, I wonder if there was anything said, because when the player got up and then pushed him, and there was offsetting technicals, it was like, wait a minute, that guy got up, made an effort, and pushed the I think that foul out. He kind of threw his hip out there a little bit. And it was just the point where there were some calls where Mason went down and there was 3 guys. And I'll have to check with the Cache County attorney, but I believe there's 3 assault charges being filed against Aztecs. And the officials missed that. But there were some definitely makeup fouls, maybe, Jalen?
Yeah, and I think you just kind of see that. We expected the game to be pretty physical. It usually is against San Diego State, but they kind of did call a couple ticky-tack things here, a couple technicals that I don't know. I don't even think they were that soft. I think, guy on their team one time just hit a big shot and was kind of, having fun with the crowd, It's just, let's let them play. It's a big game. you know what you're in for coming into the Spectrum and stuff. And I just think it's a fun atmosphere, and just at times, unless it crosses the line, let them play. And for the most part, you know, they called it pretty well, but there were a couple times when Mason got fouled clearly that they didn't call. And so I think those are the ones that you just you can't miss those calls. You have to make them. I get that there's some 50-50 ones that are tough, but I think the ones that are for sure, you see it, you hear it, just let's make the call. Other than that, let's play and let's have some fun with it for sure.
Yeah, I'm with Jalen on this one. I think they called some weird stuff. They called some weird soft technicals, but then Mason Falslev gets hip checked out of midair twice in the first half and throws up his palms to the officials who just watched the ball move down the floor the opposite way. So I'd like to see, less ticky-tack stuff and more actual fouls whistled.
We're going to go ahead and take a quick break here. Still got plenty of time to get your text, 435-554-1175. Coming back with more here on Aggie Call on KVNU.
You're on your way to work when that little light pops on. The one that says, hey, you need service. But who has time to sit in a waiting room? West Motor Ford will pick up your vehicle from home or work, service it, and bring it right back. Pickup and delivery are completely free within a 35-mile radius. That's anywhere from Malad to Montpelier, Hiram to Tremonton. Plus, get $25 off any repair over $250. Schedule your free pickup and delivery at westmotorford.com or call 208-852-3853.
The Utah State Aggies play here. News Talk KVNU Logan, 102 FM, 610 AM. The home for the Aggies.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. A few years ago, I saw this sign hanging in a gas station. It said price, quality, service. Pick 2 out of the 3. Now, it's funny, and I did laugh, but at My Mattress, we don't even want to do business unless we can do all 3. Price, quality, and service. We have a 90-day sleep guarantee, 90-day price guarantee, and we will answer the phone if you have a warranty concern. At My Mattress, we deliver, we have financing, we strive to be price, quality, and service every day. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
Hey, it's JD here, and with the new year comes that familiar feeling of wanting a fresh start. We all make resolutions, eat better, be healthier, do better, but for some, the resolution that matters most is getting sober. That's why I want to tell you about Renaissance Ranch. They specialize in a faith-based, clinically proven addiction recovery. They know what it takes to break free for good. Call or visit renaissanceranch.net and make this the year that addiction no longer controls your story. Renaissance Ranch, hope, healing, and recovery.
If you're coming to Logan and want a real value near USU, this is it. Say Aggie 79 and stay at the Baum Motel for just $79 a night. Right in downtown Logan, you'll find clean, spacious rooms and the kind of friendly service that keeps people coming back. Free continental breakfast, free Wi-Fi, and seasonal outdoor pool, all without paying big city prices. $79 rooms with Aggie 79 at the Baum Motel. Call 435-752-5220. That's 752-5220 and lock it in today.
Over the past few years, strong and crazy weather patterns have battered various parts of the country. Northern Utah and southern Idaho are not immune from its share of wild weather. Be prepared for power outages with a Generac backup generator from Golden Spike Electric. They are your local source for Generac sales and service. Generac keeps you in control when bad weather strikes. Golden Spike Electric, powering your peace of mind. Online at gsegenerators.com or call 257-3016. They also service other models.
Brought to you by My Mattress. Now with 2 locations in Logan. Get your best sleep with My Mattress on News Talk KVNU, the voice of the Aggies.
71-66. The Reaper has come to collect the Aztecs as they are probably beating cheeks to get out of Logan after falling to the Utah State Aggies. Jalen Moore, Stockton Jukes, J.D. Walker with you here on KVNU Aggie Game Day. And coming up, still on the text line, we've got plenty of you guys to get to right now. Jalen hanging out with us until we get through that. Also, we'll hear from Coach Calhoun. Not sure who we're going to hear from. Stockton, if I had to guess, and Jalen, if I had to guess, I would bet all the money that I don't have that it's going to be Karson Templin.
Yeah.
I mean, he got the privilege of doing the game doing the post game a couple of weeks ago when it was the beatdown. And so you saw dejected Karson Templin. I really hope we get to see happy Karso after the game. So we'll keep an eye on that. But we've got the text line coming in right now at 435-554-1175. That is the text line. If you try to call that, it'll just kind of get you to a voicemail there. So the 435-554-1175 is the text line.
Keeping it moving with 0783 up next. I thought the moment of truth was the Elamine shot at 6:45. That split second, I thought we would win if it fell, and then it would go downhill with us losing if it missed. Yeah, like I said, those 2 3-pointers in the last 8 minutes of the game for Elamine basically gave us the padding we needed to finish that game down the stretch. Because San Diego State did hit a big 3 with like a minute left in the game, and Utah State was still able to stretch that back to a 4-point game because they had that cushion. I haven't tooted my own horn yet today, and I need to do that because if you remember, what was my pregame score prediction, JD?
I'm pretty sure it was 71-66 or something.
71-65.
Yeah, really close. I was 75-68. It was really close. One thing I want to ask you, Jalen, is how do you – whoa, that's kind of cool. I'm just happening to check the stuff out here at the end of the whistle. I probably see Coach Calhoun as fired up as I've ever seen him before there. But I want to ask you, Jalen, you got a freshman out there. Actually, you got 2 that were pretty impressive tonight out on the glass. You got Adlin that did stuff, hit some big threes. You also had Perryman that was driving to the hoop and making some big buckets late in the game. How big is it? Put it in perspective for us listening. These guys, less than a year ago in high school, now they're playing competitive Division I college basketball. How big is this to see true freshmen playing at this level and contributing to this team?
Yeah, I think it's big, because a lot of times most best freshmen and stuff like that you're going to see that are going to play right away are going to go to some bigger schools and stuff like that. So I think that just shows you how well our coaching staff has done recruiting-wise, too, of getting some guys here that can play right away. And like you said, a year ago, they're in high school, and now they're playing against San Diego State on CBS, on national TV. So there's a lot of pressure and stuff like that goes into it. But I think as the season has gone on, Elamine, Perriman, they've started to figure things out, started to get the pace of the game, figured out the strength of the game, all that kind of stuff. And you can just see that they're getting more comfortable, getting more confident with their shots and finishes. Elamine looked great tonight. His athleticism was on display. He looked good, and Perriman makes some good things, and you can see that they're both going to have a bright future. So I'm excited and proud of both of them because they both, are putting on for Utah State right now, and I'm excited to see them continue to improve throughout the remainder of the season.
Still moving through that KVNU text line, 435-554-1175 if you have some thoughts on a big 71-66 win for the Aggies over San Diego State. 1107 was there in person and says the spectrum was on fire. I don't think I was ever not nervous until there was 2 seconds left on the clock. Today I noticed how much I love Calhoun's coaching style. He gets up, tells the guys what he needs to do, and then sits back. It says a lot about the trust he has in his players. Glad we pulled through for the win. As far as the players, it was frustrating to see such a low shooting percentage, and the offensive rebounds we still struggle. But gosh, this was Templin's game. 100%. Yeah, there are a couple things and a couple statistical categories that you look at and say, oof, against a team that's shooting their average, that's not going to cut it. Yeah.
Woof. That was the pregame phrase of the thing, and there was. It was ugly at some points, and then you've got the 426 mark, and then all of a sudden that shot for 426 does amazing in the first half. Then you roll back to the start of the second half, and it's really kind of clunking and sputtering along to start. And then, you're coming in, you're opening the game, and you've got I don't know, who's a bad Yankees pitcher that you roll out there with a 10 ERA, but you can still get the win because your bullpen's legendary.
Clark
and you're able to close it out. I think and I'm sure Coach Calhoun and company, they're going to pick apart the game. They're going to find some things because San Diego State's going to, and that rematch looming in the future, we'll definitely see probably some improvement. But at a game like this, Jalen, you just got to chalk up that win, put the feather in your cap, and just kind of move on through, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's a big win. Like you said, we know San Diego State was missing some guys. So I think when we play there, it's going to be completely different. But I mean, it's CBS national TV. Like, this is a big game for both teams, you know, and I think a lot of players, teams, coaches got some eyes on them at this game. So I just thought what we did, being able to get down by 10, you know, don't lose our composure. We come back, we hit big shots down the stretch. I think even though it was maybe low scoring, I thought it was still entertaining because guys had to make plays defensively, had to make plays offensively, and we stepped up and did that. So I think that's what makes big players and great players like MJ Collins struggling. We know most teams prep for him. We know he goes 0 for 7 in the first half, you know, and he just believes in himself, and his coaches do too, and draw up a play for him, and he drops in some big baskets down the end of the stretch, and that's what you need from your best scorers on the team at that time. And I thought that was huge, and still showcases like I can be player of the year even though I have an off game. I can still make big shots and win games. So I thought that was big for him too.
I think it says a lot and does a lot for the mentality of this team too, that they can have such an off day on offense and still win a game by 5. That was something that up to this point in the season, it seemed like we really had to be hitting a ton of threes to stay in games, and that has turned out not to be the case, thanks in part to this team's commitment to adjusting the defense. We had some defensive holes a couple weeks ago, and Utah State's done a really good job of adjusting the defense throughout the flow of the game. They adjusted very well to San Diego State's mid-range desires throughout that first half. And when they lost a couple of those shooters in transition in the first half and left Reese Dixon Waters open for a bunch of threes in the corner and stuff, they made the adjustment coming out of halftime to close out on those shooters, put a hand in their face, even if you're coming from 5 or 6 steps away. Just get over there, make some noise, throw a hand up, and it's going to throw them off their game. We had a text come in a second ago that was asking, what did San Diego State shoot in the last 5 minutes?
I think they missed 7 of 10.
Yeah, it was really rough. I don't have the last 5 minutes isolated, but I can tell you that in the second half, San Diego State shot 34.5 from the field and 14.3% from 3.
And I did my Oregon math and just kind of eyeballed it real quick. I got 7 of 10 with like 4 or 5 missed 3-pointers. So, yeah, they were, but the defense definitely responded, and that was 7-9-9-4 that just dropped that in a second ago. Moving up to 9227, still time for you to sound off, 435-554-1175. We're hanging out here, and I've got Coach Calhoun. Jason, give me a heads up. Apparently, Coach Calhoun wanted to talk today, so it went a little bit longer. And it looks like we will hear from everybody's MVP of the game, Mr. Karson Templin. 9227, gritty win, defense and rebounding, out-toughed the SDSU Aztecs. Agree. It was the defense that definitely won that game.
The number that pops up, and Calhoun made a good point to recognize this in the postgame. Guess what the rebounding differential was today?
What was that?
46-31 for Utah State.
Whoa.
To out-rebound a Brian Dutcher San Diego State team by 15. As Calhoun said in his postgame, really, really showcases how tough and resilient this team is.
Up next on the text line, 6'8", Karson Templin. Enough said. I think we all agree with that. 4387 coming in here in the text. Hats off to San Diego State. A hard-fought game. The defense is amazing and always been. Glad we were able to make more plays down the stretch. What a roller coaster from Drake. He had me pulling my hair out one play, cheering the next all game long. Templin and Elamine saved us when the Aztecs shut down Mason and MJ for a majority of the game. Now we got to take the momentum in the pit. 4387, you see it. It's really nice to see when one of these Aggies or two of these Aggies not having a half that they still hang around and other guys can step up. But then in the big moments, Mason and MJ showing out with some big three-pointers. 435-554-1175 to get into Aggie Call here on KVNU. Stockton Jukes, J.D. Walker, and Jalen Moore. From 0158, a couple texts here. Looks like we got, is Coach Calhoun going to make Jeff Berry and the team run laps? That was an ugly win like my sister and Bishop. Okay. And then followed it up with who's Stacey Walker, by the way.
Stacey Walker is the most important listener we have for the show.
I think Stockton's a big fan. Stacey is my 3-year-old daughter who, by the way, before I forget, happy birthday to Mr. Mason Jukes that was celebrating yesterday.
My goat, my king, he's 22.
So I saw a happy birthday to him. And then tomorrow on the 1st, Stacey's turning 4. So we're having a big party tonight and tomorrow. But, yeah, she's listening. So that's why when 9292 is dropping in, how big is Elamine's wingspan? It's referencing to something, but
that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is.
Kind of funny.
But it is family friendly because we do have Aggies traveling with their family and stuff like that. And frankly, if you're not willing to say it to me like face to face with your grandma next to me, like
it's probably not for the show.
Yeah, probably shouldn't say it. Save it for forums. Those are great places.
It's one of those lines that's, maybe funny with a couple friends at the cash. It's not funny on the radio.
Coming up next, 8144. KT brought so much juice when the rest of the team's struggling. Adlan's extension price keeps going up. I know Calhoun wants to try to get some extensions done soon. Any word on how's that going? No. It's been
no word on it, and we won't hear about it for a couple months.
And that's actually how I want it to go.
And even if we do hear about it, I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah, and look, I have faith in people who play Texas Hold'em and don't leak. I know how it's going to be and what it is. There is a lot of talk at Adlan. Rothstein out. Buy stock now.
He's 6 games late.
Yeah, I mean we're seeing this and we're seeing the jump and we're seeing this young man develop his game. So yeah, it's the price probably will people come, but right now there's sunshine. It's 50 degrees. The A's blue. And the Aggies just beat the Aztecs in the Spectrum. So I think we're all right.
Party time.
Continuing 8144 with a huge shout out to the Herd. The Spectrum was rocking. Absolutely. Absolutely see that. Jalen, tell me as a player, whether you've experienced it on either side of this, when things like the first half for MJ's not working, 0 for 7 from the field, that included like 0 for 5 from 3-point, just that clank off the front of the rim is going to haunt a lot of us. But when it's not going like that, how important is it to stay committed, to stay focused, and be ready when your teammates are still going to come and pass you the ball and they still have faith in you? How important is it to still stay in the game and not let that rough start hinder you?
Yeah, for sure. And I just think there's a lot of ways to affect the game rather than just always scoring. And if you could see, he never really checked out of the game. He still was picking up full court man. He still was playing hard defensively. He's still taking open shots. He's still making plays. He's still running the court. You know what I mean? So, I was never really concerned he never showed bad body language of him having a bad half. I just think that takes composure, takes some leadership, and experience. And I think down the stretch, he knew that he was probably going to get some good looks. And like you said, he never wavered. He never just showed like he was struggling, and he stepped up to the plate big time, made 2 big shots, and ran the court, got some easy layups. That's another way, if you're struggling offensively, see the ball go in, try to get to the rim, try to get some free throws going. If you're struggling to see the ball go in, I think that's useful. I think he got to the rim a few times, then his 3 opened up, so I thought he just had great composure and experience. And like you said, we're throwing a lot at him. This is the first time, like we've touched on, that this is him being like a star of a team. So he's also still learning at times. He's also still learning that every other team's prep and scout is going to be stopping him from scoring, his 19 to 20 points. So he's still adjusting to and learning, and I think he's doing a great job of that as well.
Still to come here on KVNU. We got about 10 texts to go through, and wow. Coach Calhoun wanted to talk today, guys. We'll have about 18 minutes of Coach post-game, so he's probably in a good mood. Stockton with that in mind.
And boy, does he deserve a good day.
Yeah, let's machine gun through these texts left here on KVNU.
6438, first-time texter, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I think that's the best I've ever seen Karson play. More consistency and maybe a bit more confidence. It's about time. Yeah, I tell you what. You look at the stat sheet, that's impressive enough, right? But his stand-up defense and the way that he has figured out how to go straight up and not jump into the space of guys, granted, he still has a tendency to hack at arms every now and then. Every basketball player does. You're trying to get your hand on the ball. I understand that. But Karson has really upped his physical discipline because we know he's a physical player. We know that he loves that kind of energy. He likes to get in the scrum of things, and he likes to spark plug his team that way. But he has really gotten good at controlling his body on the block, especially on defense. And he forced some misses and avoided some fouls that really changed the shape of that game in the last 10 minutes.
Coming up next on the text line, 0891. Still time for you to get in, 435-554-1175. Let you know what it's going to look like. We'll get through the text line here, and then we'll jump into about 30 minutes of post-game comments to hear about 18 minutes from Coach Calhoun and about 8 from Karson Templin. Well-deserved tonight after the hard-fought win. 435-554-1175 if you want to get in on the text line. 0891. To all the San Diego fans listening, this is why we love playing the Aztecs. It's always a good game, very entertaining. You know, blowouts are fun and everything, but competitive basketball and that on the showcase, that was a gem to showcase the Mountain West this season, the future Pac-12. You know, a big CBS audience getting to see it. And at halftime, I posted the screenshot that I saw in the conference room. Karson getting love on the national network. I mean, that's huge for the program all the way around.
I just want to chime in a little personal shot that I want to take here. If the admin of the show SDSU Twitter account is listening, I miss you, bud. Where are you? Haven't seen you in a couple days.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're in witness protection program. 8824. I thought both teams played a really great D and a great show on national television. Jalen, your thoughts on the elevation of how this, any game is a chance to showcase, but with the national eyes, we had a pregame show leading in, talking about the game on CBS. It was really cool to see the Aggies on national coverage, and they really showed out. So did San Diego State. But what does this mean to as a player and also as a program, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it's just going to be growth for the program. More eyes on the program. You're going to get more guys interested and more fans intrigued. Both teams make the NCAA tournament consistently. So I think that this is a well-deserved game. Give us some national coverage. We played at 11 a.m. Both teams played well. Both teams played hard. Both teams have good coaches, and I think also with both teams and some more of these teams going to the Pac-12 next year, I think you're probably going to see some more of these nationally bigger televised games than maybe FS1 or CBS Sports Network. We're probably going to see some more games maybe on Fox or whatever, kind of deal that Pac-12 is going to be able to pull off. So I thought this was a good look, and CBS probably took some looks at it too and was like, hey, we can throw some games, at Gonzaga and Utah State or whatever it could be next year when they're in the Pac-12. That could be a huge game too. So I thought this was a great look for our program, great look for obviously the Pac-12 going forward and everything like that.
8387 up next on the KVNU text line. Davis had about 7 fouls, so he's due to foul out.
Yeah.
He wanted to replay on the foul, but the announcer's like, that's not a thing.
Can't do that.
I understand why the announcers say it with G League players and NBA players coming back to play.
We'll talk about Amari Bailey in a little bit.
Going on, gutty win by the boys. EP had some huge minutes when Drake was struggling, but good Drake came back to finish. I like it. I felt like it was a tag team match. When Drake needed a breath, he was able to run and get it and make it happen. EP with some big plays, cutting to the hoop and getting big buckets as time was winding down in a big conference play. Up next, 8787. Such a fun game today. I was worried for the majority of the game. You and me both, brother. But in the end, the Aggies overcame everything that includes themselves. The biggest key to the win was rebounding battle by 15. If this team shows up for the rest of the season, it'll be a dangerous team. Jalen, I think if this team shows up in a game and they believe that they can win at any point and they know that they have the gas to stick around, we just saw them handle a big challenge on their home court. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, when the Aggies play their game and execute, the only one that really gets in their way is them. And we saw that with a cold shooting start today, but they had enough gas in the tank, Jalen, to overcome and get a big win.
Yeah, I thought that was important. I think this was a big test of it, and we got to do it at home in the Spectrum. Slow start, defense hangs in there all game. Guys make big shots down the stretch, big defensive plays. I thought that was a great performance by us. We've seen sometimes against UNLV, Grand Canyon, there's some times where we just don't answer the call when we need to, and I thought this game we did. And I think Wednesday's game, at the Pit, New Mexico, I think that's going to be another tough game, and I think it's going to be a game where we're going to have to showcase what we're made of again. But we're not going to be able to have the fans behind our back. We're not going to be in the Spectrum. We're not going to be as comfortable, So I think that's going to be our next big test, playing in the Pit, going into another environment that's pretty awesome to play in, and seeing now let's see if our guys can make those same big defensive plays, same big offensive plays on the road in the Pit, and I think that'll answer a lot of questions as well.
5822 next up on the text line with a simple statement. Our rebounding crazy good tonight. Go Aggies. 9315 coming in. Oh, thanks for dropping this in. I appreciate that. Let me see here. We got a couple. There were parts of this game where I could see an Elite Eight tournament team qualifying team, and then there were a few times. We did some boneheaded stuff, but most of the time we were playing pretty good. I did see at the very end of the game that we broke San Diego State's will because they all stood up and stood around. Figured they lost with plenty of tape on the clock to come back and win it. I feel like it was 13 seconds left. P.S. Hopefully nobody does a boneheaded move like the person that called in last week. Yeah, everybody was good. Hat tip to James. Appreciate.
It's like Jerrod Calhoun said after the game today when he was asked about Nunez. He said, "Hey, everyone makes mistakes."
Yeah, I did see the broadcast when Dutcher gets a certain smoky look at his face. I should know that, or whoever is playing is probably going to win. Enough, we won. Did you guys catch this? Pretty cool to see. He was wearing a cancer patch. Also, I saw they were wearing them up on the sleeve.
Mountain West has done a really good job the last couple of weeks of promoting the Coaches Against Cancer initiative.
Also, thanks 9315. Appreciate you doing this. Jalen, give me kind of thoughts on this. MJ Collins, 1,000 points in his collegiate career. A nice milestone for the man who's experiencing a great season here in Logan with the Aggies.
Yeah, it is. And like you said, I think there's been a lot thrown at him being the guy to go to, scoring opportunities and getting the ball a lot and stuff. And I think he's just flourished in that position. But 1,000 points, not everybody's able and capable of doing that. So, hats off to him. I think that's a great accomplishment for him and for his career. And like you said, him bouncing around and finally finding a place, like you said, that kind of feels like home where he's really comfortable. You got to be excited for him, and you can see it in his play for sure.
Coming up next, 48-29, wrapping up the last few texts here on KVNU Aggie Game Day, and then we'll let Jalen get on with his Saturday afternoon, and we'll take you into Coach Calhoun's post-game thoughts and hear from Karson Templin. 48-29, massive win after getting out physical last week. Nice to see some grit. Absolutely agree. 8775, Utah State did great. Karson Templin, player of the game. 8775. I think we've got a bunch of people that are echoing that statement. Coming up next, 0462 on the KVNU Aggie Call and Text line. How do we match up against the Lobos? I feel this version of the Aggies defense can win some games on the road. The game probably isn't a must-win, but must be able to knock off both the top teams in the conference in a week. Would be huge for the Aggies.
Yeah, today is a Q2 win because San Diego State, as of yesterday, was 45th in the net ranking. So if you're unfamiliar, it's 1 through 30 at home is a Q1, 1 through 50 on neutral site, and then 1 through 75 on the road is considered Q1. So when we go down, we look at New Mexico, they are 38th in the net ranking. This is a Q1 road game coming up. It's going to be tough. The environment's going to make it a little tougher than today's game was just because Utah State's playing at home. But in terms of head-to-head matchup, not quite as tough for me as the San Diego State game. That being said, we have got to shoot twice as good as we shot today, especially if we want to get a win on the road. Because if we start 0 for 9 or whatever from three-point line and they go really up 10 early in that game, on the road, that is going to be a hard game to swing back. Utah State and the Herd did a great job today. The community did a wonderful job of creating the home court advantage that Utah State needed to close out that game. They're not going to have that on Wednesday night. They're going to have the opposite. So you've got to shoot well and you've got to start hot.
Going up next on the text line here at KVNU, 9408, we have got Calhoun is SDSU's kryptonite. I think he's 0-3 against them. We'll have
Correct.
to check that out. 8775, one more text. Mason Fosliff did great. And Jalen, the last text coming in here right now, we've got two of them, or actually this last one. Somebody wants to know, 9227, Jalen, what was your record playing at the Pit?
Playing at the Pit. Dang, I'm trying to think. 1-3 maybe, I think. Like almost went 500, but I think it was 1-3, if I can remember correctly. Maybe 2-2, honestly, but one of those two.
And then I'm just looking at the predictor matchup. I mean, it's 53.5 to 46.5 for the Aggies to win. It's a little too early for the line to come out as we're still a ways away from the game on February 4th next Wednesday. But on FS1, a big matchup, looking at it. How do you give us a little preview of what you expect these Aggies to see going up? It's the 17-4 Lobos against the 18-3 Aggies. 9-2 in the Mountain West for the Ags, not 8-2 for the Lobos. A big matchup down at the Pit. What are your first initial thoughts on that, Jalen?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a game similar to today's game in that New Mexico is going to be similar to San Diego State, but not as much experience. So, honestly, if you want to see some really good freshmen from us and from New Mexico. Like, tune in next Wednesday because they're going to have some of the best young guys on the court all at the same time because a lot of freshmen are going to get minutes. So I think you're going to see a lot of guys that are going out there flying around, playing hard, trying to prove a name and prove a point for themselves because they're so young. So I think that's going to make the game pretty entertaining. But like you guys said, I think it's going to be very similar where we're going to have to deal with some athleticism. We're going to have to deal with some length and some height that we might have struggled with in the past. So I think that's going to be kind of a key. Our big guys in Carson's got to play exactly like he did this game. I think that's going to be super important. To go off what Stockton said, definitely can't start 0 for 9 from 3. I think on the road, it's a hard place to play. If, New Mexico gets up 10 or 12, it's sometimes too hard to come back in a place like that, and they can keep adding on to that lead. So I think our guys are going to have to be locked in, shoot better. But I think our defense has to do what we did. We got to rebound like we did, and we just got to make sure we don't have 18 turnovers. I think that's going to be very crucial too. So we do those 3 things. Like, I think it's a place where we go in there and we get a big win and we showcase, hey, we're still the top team in the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah, just to tack on to that, I think that the size is what's sticking out to me. They've got guards listed at 6'7", 6'6", 6'8", 6'8", 6'7", 6'9". I mean, there's all sorts of height on this team. They're a lot bigger. Luke Hopp is going to be someone to keep an eye on, a 6'7" senior, 215 pounds. But some of those freshmen, too, like Jalen was saying, you're going to have Tomislav Boljan out there, 6'9" forward from Croatia. Another freshman, Marius Jones. But really, Jake Hall, that 6'4" guard, he has been ridiculously good for New Mexico. And then one of the things that we got to look out for on Wednesday night, because we didn't have to deal with it in Magoon-Guath today, JT Rock, their center, is a sophomore, 260, 7'1".
Yeah.
He's going to create some issues around the rim for Utah State's offense.
So that's going to be a matchup coming up on the 4th next Wednesday. All the pregame tip coming up 8 o'clock. Late night Aggie hoops with J.D. Walker, Stockton Jukes, and Jalen Moore. Hey, Jalen, you have a rest of your Saturday. Enjoy it, my friend.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, Jalen Moore joins us every pregame and postgame here on Aggie Call. We're sitting at 2:33, about 50 degrees, sunshine outside the KVNU studios. And now time to hear from Coach Calhoun. Postgame conference, a little bit long on this one. We'll hear from him for about 17 and a half minutes. Coach is happy, it seems, after a big win in the Spectrum.
Yeah, give San Diego State a ton of credit. I thought they had a great game plan. That's an NCAA tournament team, if I've seen one. Very deep, big, strong, physical. Obviously got 2 really good players out in Magoon and Harrington. Both those kids are really, really good. So I think they're an NCAA tournament team. Really want to shout out the Herd, to be honest with you. Came here last night. I saw 2 kids that had been here since Wednesday night after the Wyoming game. So I made a call to Cam Walker and asked him to let the kids in early this morning. Instead of 9:45, let's go 9:15 or 9 o'clock. We've got kids that have been camping for 3 days in 25, 30-degree weather, and the Herd kindly declined. They said they're tougher than that. So we kind of follow their lead. That is a tough group of students. I enjoyed hanging out with them for 45 minutes with my daughter, and it was awesome. The passion of those students to hear their stories, why they're in the Herd, what it means to them. It's things you do not take for granted, and that's why I always bring my kids up because they love it. Really want to shout out our players to win this game as ugly as we played offensively. I don't know if I've ever been a part of that, where your 2 best players went 6 of 21. You had 18 turnovers, but the difference was we were the tougher team the last 7 minutes of the game. To out-rebound a Brian Dutcher team by 15 is a ultimate test of what you guys just talked about, character, and our kids have that. We have a unbelievable belief in each other, and it's we over me. And a lot of kids really rebounded the ball tonight. Yeah, I mean, you got to drive it every day. It's details, fundamentals. It's, Mason Falslev, Karson Templin. We've been through the battles, right? Like, I know those guys like the back of my hand. Sometimes I don't have to say anything at practice. They look at me, I look at them. We have an unbelievable relationship. When we need to turn things up, we do. I think it starts with those guys and Drake and Jordy Barnes and Tucker Anderson. Just the connectivity of our group is pretty special, and that's something we never want to lose here.
Going back to the first half, there was a series of whistles and no calls that seemed to go against your team, and with the offensive struggles as well. How do you look at your group, and how much do you appreciate that?
Yeah, I mean,
withstand that?
yeah, I mean, we just tell everybody, like, nobody cares. Nobody cares about the whistle. Nobody cares about, that kind of stuff. You got to play through it, figure it out, problem solve throughout the game. I thought our guys did an unbelievable job in timeouts. None of the coaches panicked. We have really last year, we took a lot of heat about our defense, but I don't see anybody writing anything negative about the defense, right? Like this is a story about how good our defense was tonight. Everybody talks about Coach Calhoun's offense and Utah State's offense, but we held them to 66. This is a team that's been averaging 79 points a game over the last 5 games. They got real players. This headline should be all about the Aggie defense and the Aggies' toughness and in the Herd's toughness for 3 days out in that cold.
Both halves kind of followed a similar flow where San Diego State took the lead in the middle of the half, and then you guys closed out strong. What did you see from both those halves where you went down, but then you just powered through?
Yeah, I mean, we just couldn't get rhythm. That's a test to Dutch. That's a test to his staff, but really, more importantly, their game plan. They had a really good game plan. They switched with the 5. It took us forever to figure that out. We finally figured it out. There's a couple big plays, right? We came out of a timeout. We run a play called thumbs out keep. Mason comes off. We get a back screen for Drake and a ball screen for Mason. Well, we countered it in the huddle. We had never done it, so we ball screened Mason and KT, but KT went and set the biggest screen of the game. When MJ made that 3, that was something we never run. There was a couple of those. Adlan Alamin's growth, right? His development was incredible today. He's just getting better and better. I thought Elijah Perryman, Zach Keller, really a group effort. But there was just no rhythm to the game, Jason. I mean, like the first 9 or 10 minutes? I mean, that was rough, and to stay the course and not to get frustrated. This was a really big win for us. So when we had to have, if you want to play in the NCAA tournament, you got to win your home games, right? Like you have to win your home games. And now it don't get any easier because we're going to one of the best venues in all of the country.
Coach, you touched on it a little bit in your opening statement about how it was kind of grinding it out until the second half. From your perspective, what changed in that second half?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of figured out how to attack the 5. I thought we made better decisions. I don't think we had too many, maybe 1 turnover the last 8 minutes. Do we have any? I thought ball security was critical the last 8 minutes. They didn't turn us over. Our contest rate was really good, right? Like we were, the kid Dixon Waters, I mean, this guy's making fadeaways from 15, 18 feet. Like, I mean, those are hard shots, right? Like, he's a smooth operator, tremendous player. But nobody else had double digits. So it's just kind of, each time out we're talking about different things. There's so many plays in a game, I can't really pinpoint one.
You touched on Karson's game today. What does he mean to this program?
I love KT. KT, when the lights come on, he's going to play really hard. But what he's done this year is expand his game. He understands how to screen better. He understands how to shot fake better. He's shooting the ball the best of his career. We're a coaching staff that's going to allow kids to play through some mistakes. I think with KT, you have to do that. I think he's very confident in his teammates with Drake and Mason and MJ. It's a perfect match, right? Like our system, him. It's a really, really good match, and we were going to let him shoot those threes, because if you look at his percentages, he's really shooting the ball well.
You touched on it. 16 turnovers in the first 3 minutes. It was only 2 turnovers in the final.
Is that what it was, too?
Is there anything you kind of changed or emphasized?
No, just enough's enough. You know what I mean? Like, you've seen their pressure now. This is 30 minutes into the game. Like, what are we doing? Why are we giving the ball away? Just talk to them like that. Like, come on, guys, get the spacing. What's our spacing concepts, right? Like, the reason you turn the ball over, you don't have good space, and you make bad reads. And we were sped up for a big part of the game. But we sped them up, We're very similar type teams, to be honest with you. They force turnovers. They want to get out and play fast, We just made a few more plays than them, really.
Coach,
Yeah, it wasn't a good game plan, obviously. We probably should have just attacked the 5 more. We wanted to set more flares. Our guys just didn't process that. When we drove it in, we wanted flares on the backside. You know, we showed them at halftime 7 clips. Every time we drove and got to the nail or the elbow, all they do is just flood to the ball. All you got to do is just flare in and shoot threes. I mean, New Mexico shot 4 or 5 threes on them like that. So we kind of took a little bit of that, and then we said, hey, we'll isolate the 5. If they want to switch these ball screens, we're going to go right at them, and then they're going to collapse, we're going to kick, right, or shot fake, right? So you saw Drake finally shot fake. It took us about 29 minutes to shot fake. We were chest bumping, not because we were either in the lead, we were chest bumping because they finally did something we told them after 30 minutes offensively.
Coach, that last 27 or 23 seconds, that was crazy that the clock.
I mean, it's why you get into coaching. It's seeing the joy on your player's face, knowing that kids have camped out for 3 days and you're not letting them down, knowing that our donors stepped up to keep all these players here. The worst thing you can do as a coach is let people down, right? You watch all this tape, you do all this game planning, and also you know you need this game, right? So it's very gratifying to see that when you don't play that well, right? Like I didn't think we played very good offensively. So it's very gratifying to know you have great character kids and you have really tough kids, right? This was a big test to our toughness.
Coach, you talked about being sped up. It seems like every other play in that first half was a transition opportunity. You end up with just 5 fast break points. So, you know, the transition game's struggling, the half court's struggling. Just how do you guys sort of stay the course and, you know, just force the...
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why Brian Dutcher will be a Hall of Famer. He really has a true identity of how he wants to coach, what he wants his guys to do defensively. And when you can get to Sweet 16s and you can play for a national championship, you obviously know what you're doing, right? So to beat them 3 consecutive times is really just a test to our togetherness, right? Last year here tonight. It's really a test to our guys and just sticking to the game plan and, you know, not flinching. I think in these big games, you can put so much pressure and fear of losing. As a coach, you can't do that to your players. The number 3 goal on the thing after was a turnover margin and then a Mick Cronin line that I absolutely love, that I've really kind of lived by all year, is you can't win the game if you don't win the fight. But the number 3 key was no fear. Let's lay it all on the line. Let's play green. Let's not worry about losing. And I don't think our guys ever really flinched. Down 7, down 8, can't make a 3, you know, making bad passes, find a way, you know.
Do you think the veteran core on this team helps that?
I do. I think they're a steady presence, Drake, Mason, KT. But honestly, tonight, the most steady guy out there was KT and Adlin, a freshman. I mean, the guy had 13 and, what do you have, 13 and 8 and 3 and no turnovers, you know? Like, he looked like, you know, one of the best guys on the floor.
With Drake, really started slow. That 30 minutes was really struggling with
Yeah.
turnovers. What changed for him in that match?
Yeah, just trying to give him confidence. You know, Drake, listen, here's what I tell him. When you're the point guard or the quarterback, it is the hardest position on any team, right? So we heard yesterday from Jordan Love. He did a 30-minute Zoom with our guys, and it was incredible. The attention to detail at the quarterback position in the NFL, the amount of film study. But you're going to be the most critiqued guy, right? Like, you're going to be the most critiqued guy on Twitter and all these social media things that you guys all run and have to do. He's going to take a beating, right? And Drake has, you know, he knows that. So throughout the game, the worst thing I can do is screaming, yell at him at timeouts. Like, you can't do that in a game, right? That doesn't do anything. So showing him the video at halftime, trying to make some adjustments, trying to continue to understand you are playing the Aztecs. So nobody looks good against them offensively. Let's be honest. Who's really looked good against these guys ever since, you know, Steve Fisher got there? How many teams have popped San Diego State and run great offense? I don't see it. So you just got to keep, you know, you got to keep being encouraging. And I thought he made 2 of the biggest plays. You know, that left-hand drive when we got the switch, I mean, that was big-time layup, you know, made a big-time free throw. So he's our guy, and EP, and, you know, But even Jordy Barnes, man, the guy is on the bench telling Elijah Perryman and telling Drake, hey, here's what's going on, right? Like the late kickouts on those flares, we're missing those guys, you know?
San Diego State does a great job of fouling. Contesting around the rim without fouling. You guys kind of seem to struggle with that early and looking for whistles. But you kind of just mentioned, no one cares. But what did you see from there?
Yeah, we finally got to 2. We finally kicked out. We brushed, like when they're going to switch like that, you have to brush them. We brushed. We hit Addie for a 3. We brushed. We hit Mason for a layup. We brushed. We hit MJ for a flare 3. We had things in the arsenal that, we probably should have went to earlier. But best shot blocking team in the league. I mean, they are athletic, intimidating, and they didn't even have Magoon. Right, so that's what they do, man. You dribble the ball in there, you try to get layups, they're going to try to block it. So you can't keep going in there over and over. You got to play off 2 feet. You got to pivot. Respacing was really out of whack for a while. You have to respace and get an outlet behind the ball. We say, we got to have 3 outlets: 1 in front, 1 behind, kind of 1 on the side. And we just didn't have outlets tonight.
Coach Jerrod Calhoun talking post game, and I tell you what, Stockton, he was a very happy coach of the Utah State Aggies.
Chatty Cathy today. I love it.
Very much. Up next, the MVP, not me, not according to Stockton, not according to Jalen, but overwhelmingly on Aggie X and on the Aggie Call text line, the MVP of the matchup against the Aztecs. Ladies and gentlemen, Karson Templin on Aggie Call.
It's Max for Plankin. Ooh.
All right, we've got Utah State junior forward Karson Templin. We'll open it right up for questions.
Season high, 18 points, tied your career high, probably one of your best games overall of the year. Just what was it like having that kind of performance in a big game like this?
First off, I just want to give all my glory to God. I wouldn't be here without him. But, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it without my teammates. Trusting me to throw it inside. They were switching all game, so I had a lot of mismatches and opened things up for me, and my team needed it tonight, so I delivered.
You're no stranger to this crowd, but it's 11 a.m. on a Saturday. What did this home court advantage mean to your program?
Everything. I don't think we could have done without them. The crowd pops when you score, whenever they're bringing the ball up. It flusters the other team, and I think they really have an effect, and this is the best place to play in the country, no doubt.
Karson, a gritty game like this, what's it do for you guys moving forward to get the win today?
We need to win every game. San Diego State's a very good team. Obviously, we definitely had this one circled because they're at the top of the conference every year, but can't get too high, can't get too low. We have New Mexico coming up next, and then a good Wyoming team again. So we just got to be on to the next, but we're happy to get this win today.
You were key in that big push going into half. Just what was that like, that momentum going into the half?
We were down, I think, 10 or 11, the 4-minute media around there. We just talked in the huddle. We need to move the ball better. We need to, make some plays, and we ended up doing that the last 4 minutes, and it carried us on over to the next half, which was huge for us, being tied going into the next half. So.
You had a lot of big moments out there tonight, but that lob to Adlin seemed like that was pretty key. I think that put you up by 7. That's not usually something that you do, but.
Come to practice, man. You'll see it. Me and Addie do that all the time. He's always cutting from the corners. I love playing with him because he can shoot it. He can catch any ball. I don't know how high it was thrown, but, man, he went up and got it. So it was great.
You guys kind of struggled sometimes in the losses on the glass. Tonight, offensive and defensively rebound really kind of had you way. Just what were you able to do that really made you effective?
It's all attention to detail. We've emphasized it the last few practices that we need to box out, rebound. Wyoming is a very good rebounding team, so I think we got better playing versus them, and we carried it over tonight. And we're a good rebounding team. It's just all a mental thing. You just got to go get the ball.
Your teammates are missing threes. You're able to hit a couple. What was that like to kind of get the momentum going? I mean, did you think about it at all? Like, nobody's being able to hit threes tonight?
I mean, I don't really think when I shoot. If I see myself open, I shoot it. I don't know if Coach always likes that, but the team needed it, so I came up. I started off 2 for 2. I really wanted that third one to go in, but I'll take 2 for 3. I'll take it.
What were those first, I think it was 4 or 5 minutes like? You guys, the
between the two teams scored like 4 or 5 points in the first 5 minutes. What was that like where both of you guys are going 100% on defense and just shutting each other down?
We knew that both teams play really good defense. Historically, San Diego State's one of the best defensive teams in the country. I feel like we've had a pretty good defense this year. We emphasize it a lot. So we knew it wouldn't be easy to score. They're heavy in the help, and I think that once we figured out how to move the ball, we were able to get some better looks. But, man, they guarded well for sure.
San Diego State has a real tough interior defense. It seems like in that first half you guys were kind of running into a brick wall when you were trying to drive. Just what was kind of the adjustment you made as the game went on to, make some more plays down there?
I think we all are taught to make below the free throw line reads. Coach is in here now, so if you get the ball under the free throw line, you should skip it, especially for San Diego State because they're loaded. We knew that going into the game, but sometimes you need to see it to remind yourself. They showed us some clips, and we finally started to move the ball. We should have started that from the beginning of the game, but we were happy to get some open looks.
I want to ask about your development from your freshman year to now. What's made the biggest difference for you to be able to go and do something like this?
Just hard work, trying to put in the work every day, having good coaches, trying to lift me up and get me better in different areas. And I've been blessed to be around a lot of good players and coaches, and I think that's the biggest thing.
You guys had 18 turnovers on the game. We only had 2 turnovers in the last 10 minutes. So what was kind of the attention to detail change there to make that effective?
I'm not really sure. I think we just don't need to turn the ball over 18 times. Coach isn't going to be happy about that, but we'll make some adjustments for next game.
How confident are you in your team's depth going into this push in February?
Extremely confident. We got so many guys who can play. I think we have 8 or 9 guys who could probably start in this team. So it makes it really easy. When you come out of the game and you got a guy like Gary Clark or Zach Keller, Tucker Anderson, Adlin, all those guys in the front court, they can all play. So I think we're really comfortable with that.
In a game like today where offense is just so difficult to come by throughout the game, how important, especially for a player like you, is just bringing energy on every possession?
I think it's huge. That's my role for this team, is to bring energy and be kind of the dirty work guy. So I got to bring that every night. Tonight I was able to score a little more and do that, but I got to bring the energy every night because my team needs it, and it helped us win this game.
What do you say about the resiliency of MJ Collins, where he started out a bit rough and then he had like 2 clutch 3-pointers and hit some free throws as well? Just was like seeing him do that.
That's what good players do. MJ's a heck of a player. I trusted him to shoot the ball every time. If we could, I'd give him the ball every possession and just have him shoot it. I don't think Coach would like that, but he's a heck of a player, and sometimes you don't see the ball go in, and it's frustrating, but he's good enough to where he knows that if he gets open looks, he should still shoot them, and he's confident in himself, and we need him to play like that.
Kind of along with that, after the Colorado State win, Coach talked about kind of character win and this building character. Another game where you trail for 2/3 of the game, but we're able to still pull it out. Just what does that do for your mindset and kind of character that's been talked about?
It's everything. We practice hard, and I think whenever we practice hard and do that stuff, we're confident in ourselves. Even when we're behind, we know that eventually we're going to have breakthroughs, we're going to make shots, we're going to do the little things to put ourselves on top.
Karson Templin's post-game thoughts after the Aggies pick up the win, 71-66. Final thoughts, Stockton Jukes. Of course, Karson Templin's got to be the MVP, but a team effort all the way around. Adlin, everybody doing what they're doing. Even Coach Calhoun taking extra time to be a chatty Cathy today. Final thoughts on the win, and also we've got some more Aggie action coming up.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say I really liked those last couple minutes from Karson and talking about the adjustment, the below the free throw line reads, and getting to the rim, moving the ball. That's what I was talking about at the beginning of the show with just their ability to adjust in-game has come, miles from where it started at the beginning of this season. They're able to see kind of in real time where they are lacking and where their opponents are holding them. Obviously, it helps when you're in the age of stat broadcast and immediate replays and all that stuff. So you can go in the locker room, you can look at the numbers, you can look at the clips and say, hey, this is exactly what we're doing. But a lot of teams can still look at that information and not make the correct adjustments. Utah State did a great job today of overcoming, like I said, those first 4 minutes of the second half and making the adjustments, moving the ball better. They were telegraphing a lot of passes early in that game, and they adjusted well to make San Diego State, one of the best defenses in the country, really struggle for the last 10.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the matchup going to the pit. We've got a couple days, a little bit extra rest, the early matchup, and coming up, some Aggie action for the hockey team you wanted to talk about.
Club hockey is down in Orem this weekend for the Wasatch Cup. They won against the U yesterday 3-2, which is a big revenge win for them, by the way. But they take on Weber State in an hour and a half for the Wasatch Cup. They haven't won the Cup in 2 or 3 years since it was last hosted in Logan. And I'll tell you what, they beat Weber State in a shootout for that game. Dylan Hale, a good friend of mine, had the best goal I've ever seen for Utah State hockey in that shootout to clinch the Cup for Utah State. I am really looking forward to this game today.
So if they want to go down, still plenty of time to get on down there and check it out?
I don't think you could drive down there in time, but the stream should be available on the Weber State hockey page on YouTube.
And anytime Weber and Utah State get
Don't
together.
like those guys. They'll be here for senior night in 2 weeks on February 13th. Can't wait for that one.
And we might start a GoFundMe for bail if needed. Because, I remember your guy when you were doing the game with me the other day. I was New Hampshire. He was being escorted off the thing. And your guy just calm, coolly and he flipped me off, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Weber State has been less classy than that historically. So really excited for today and then excited for them to come up here in a couple weeks.
All right, for Jalen Moore, Stockton Jukes, I'm J.D. Walker. That's going to wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for a great episode of Aggie Call on a beautiful 51-degree and sunny Saturday afternoon in Cache Valley. That A is blue out there. For Stockton Jukes, Jalen Moore, I'm J.D. Walker. Have a great rest of your weekend, Aggie fans. We'll see you next time, coming up Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, as the Aggies travel to New Mexico to take on the Lobos. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Don't say I gotta know if your sweet love is gonna save me. We may lose and we may win, but we will never be here again. So open up, I'm climbing in. So take it easy.
This Utah State broadcast has been a presentation of News Talk KVNU and the Cache Valley Media Group, the heritage home for the Aggies.